Starting with vote to approve the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I vote to approve the agenda.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, someone needs to take notes too.
And I did start the recording, so I'll share that.
Okay, so we'll have that. So this trig. Just a sec. I'll quickly try and take some notes. I don't know how good I'll be, but so that was Val. Second was Jenny. Okay, vote to approve the agenda for January 6th, 2021. Should see it on your screen. I think Dr. Shaw sent it out as well. I guess anyone opposed?
Oh, shoots. What did I do?
Okay, then that passes.
Hey, Laura, not to interrupt. It's also on the front of our website if you need to find it.
Oh, okay. I tried to find it and I couldn't find it earlier, but I was probably looking in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it's under announcements or noteworthy, whatever we call it now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can look it up from there. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting? And actually, do we have those? Now that I say that. Are they on the website?
I'm sorry, the minutes? No, they're not. I didn't have those, or if I did, I forgot to post them.
Yeah, I don't think we actually have those, so I guess we can wait and approve the minutes from that meeting next meeting as well.
Hey, Laura.
Uh-huh.
Miss Hunter, do you need somebody to take notes? I just came in.
Yeah, I guess if you want to do that, I started it, but if you want to pick up from here, we'll share those with Dr. Williams.
Okay, I'll pick up from here.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to wait on voting to approve the minutes from our November meeting until we make sure that we have those available. So we will check on those and just vote next week on those. We have our norms just to share to start off our meeting as well. So I'll scroll down to those. If we'll silence and turn off phones, we are starting and stopping on time. Please communicate, participate in a positive manner, be respectful, and we are working for the benefit of all Roswell School stakeholders. So I scroll back up. Dr. Shaw, do we have any public comment that you know of?
Oh, let me check. I'm sorry. Hang on, give me 1 second. I apologize. I should have had that up.
That's okay. We forgot to talk about that yesterday, I guess. And it doesn't look like we have any guests in the meeting for today either for public comment.
No, there's nothing in public comment. I'll leave it up just in case we get something, but there's nothing there.
Okay. Then we are moving through this quickly. Next is student update. Kirsten, do you have anything to share as far as how the end of the semester went, the beginning of the semester, or anything else?
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Well, Haley could not make it to this meeting, and we were talking a little bit before the meeting started on like what I should really relay onto you all. And we honestly really couldn't think of anything because we all know like the semester ended a little bit rocky with like the school shutting down like relatively quickly and with short notice. But I think we just understand it was like a safety concern, and obviously this week off, it's also a safety concern. And I think all the students are just processing like the new information for the new semester, like the new like grading policy and the schedule and whatnot. So I think it's just going to be like a slow transition, but I think this semester is going to go more smoothly. That's what Haley and I think. So yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, if anything comes up, please keep us informed.
Thank you.
And Dr. Shaw, then, you ready for your principal's update?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Kirsten. I appreciate you. Hope you had a good holiday. Thanks to everybody for your time and being here. Let me thanks for doing that. Let me see if I can share my screen and do this and this and this. Okay, so can you see my PowerPoint here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me go through a few things. First of all, before we start, one of the things on here, Kirsten, that you referenced was some changes for second semester. They're not a whole lot different, but there are some things that are a little bit different. So I'll talk about that for sure. So very quickly, just go through where we are on construction. If you've been on campus, you've seen that construction is underway. So we do have, if I can't make it, Mr. Zarzana has a Tuesday and a Friday meeting. I just go to the Tuesday ones if I can make it. But there's a meeting for construction progress. So just as a reminder, what started is the new additions to our building. So there's a black box theater, which is something that most other schools have, except for the schools that are our floor plan, which is us, Centennial, Tri-Cities. So that is coming. So we're very excited about that. A PE building and the art extension. The second that we're done with school for this year, renovations will begin, which will take most of, if not all, the summer. Art areas, broadcast videos getting redone, cosmetology, foods kitchen. I forgot to put on here, we found out that there's going to be some upgrades in what used to be called the football field house, but is now our PE building. So all of that is going to happen this summer with the hope that when we come back in the fall, it will be done. I'm knocking on wood, which you may not be able to see, and we will be done with that. So that's where we are on construction. Before I move on, any questions or anything on this topic? Okie doke. So some budget updates. So let me just tell you where we are is as we're wrapping up first semester, Verinda and I are meeting actually tomorrow. And, I've presented some numbers to this group. I want to continue to be transparent with our budget. So Ms. Hunter and I had a conversation about when the budget finance subcommittee meets. I can sit in with some more accurate, up-to-date numbers as we finish first semester and roll into this semester. But for purposes of this group, we did find out either today or yesterday from the district that, which I don't think is a surprise, that all seed fund money must be spent this year or it will be taken away, it will be lost. So we've talked about that. And I know, Ms. Hunter, you were going to talk a little bit about where we are in the grant process and trying to get more interest in that. There's a couple of positions we have bought for this semester. One of them is a data clerk position, actually a half part-time data clerk position. So this money does come out of our budget. We have it, including the additional help with the math department. But let me talk very quickly about the why. Now, one of the things we don't do in these meetings is talk about personnel by name, but I'll throw it out there. Miss Miller's our data clerk. She is fantastic. Her job has become so much more difficult because not only is she scheduling and trying to keep track of enrolling kids and all kinds of different data requests, but she also is handling a lot of our kids when they're on quarantine. Are they in the right learning setting, remote, face-to-face? Are their attendance up to date? For example, the teachers rely on who's supposed to be in their class and who's not. They rely on what they see in Infinite Campus, and it's her that keeps it up to date. We have recommended an employee who has experience in this position. So hopefully that will be something that will get done here relatively soon. And I think our teachers at least will see, Ms. Miller provides great customer service, but hopefully you'll see that increase and get even better. So this is not uncommon sometimes is we have what's called trailer courses. And what that means is these are kids who have failed first semester in math, predominantly, not always. But they need to take the first semester again. Now, we don't really budget or build that in the summer because we just don't know. As you can imagine, I'm not embarrassed to tell you that usually we have 1 or 2 trailer courses. We have 3, maybe 4. So we have purchased additional positions. Now, what these are is teachers getting paid to teach on their planning. So it's basically the teacher gives up their planning for an additional little bump to their salary. It will cost the school $52,000. And then, like I said here, we'll meet with the budget committee. Verinda and I are meeting tomorrow. I'll share that information with the budget committee as we decide to make some decisions for the rest of this year. So those are some big budget purchases that we've made for this semester. Of course, personnel is always your most expensive item. Anything on here that I need to clarify or talk about?
Dr. Shaw, hey, it's Hannah Zay.
Hi.
Are any of the budget items you've listed here things that you're using chartered dollars for, or is it coming from your local funds?
Great question. Yeah, no, it's coming from local funds right now. You know, in just a hallway conversation with Verinda today, we have the funds in our cost center, so we can cover it, not to need to use governance council funds. I did, again, in full transparency, when Ms. Hunter and I met to plan this meeting, I did say, look, if we don't have it, we may have to ask governance, but Hannah, we don't need to use governance dollars for this right now.
So do you have also other wants and suggestions for the amount of governance funds that you know you're going to be needing to spend this semester?
Yeah, you know, right now I don't, but that's something that I know, I think Ms. Hunter is on our agenda for talking through that here. And you know, Hannah, what we've done in the past that's really worked is reaching out to our staff, and they've usually come through with some really great ideas and great needs, but not to get in front of the agenda, but I think the response on that has not been as exuberant as we would have hoped. So we need to talk about what that looks like for getting those funds, because we do have a sizable amount and we got to get them off our books. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I'll tell you what, can I just kind of table that, Hannah? Is that okay? And we can go back to it when I'm done?
Of course.
Great. The budget timeline was shared with principals. So I don't know, Hannah, you probably already have this as well, but we did get our projected enrollment was shared with us. I don't want to put a number out there right now because the numbers change as things happen. But right now we're projected to show an increase in enrollment, which is good. On February 8th, the budget's open for principals. And then the process that we use here is, you know, we look at enrollment, we look at course offerings, we look at all kinds of different factors, what our needs and wants are from our department chairs. And then we put together a budget. I present it to the governance council. For those of you who are new, over 90% of our budget is personnel, so there usually is not a whole lot of changes. And then I believe the deadline I got, Ms. Day, if you want to correct me, is by March 12th. We must have everything signed off and approved by the governance council. So that's the timeline, and for the budget and finance subcommittee, that's probably important information as well. Questions or Ms. Day, anything I screwed up on that?
No, you got it.
All right, well, there's one thing I figured out. Okay. The last thing then is just the second semester plan. So I'm going to try and open this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to play with my screen a little bit here to make this work. But this is the document that went out. I want to thank our department chairs and our admin. And when I reference the leadership team, that's usually who it is. But we really spent a lot of time working through this. There's not a whole lot of changes. So Kirsten, when you talked about changes, you made me a little nervous. So I wanted to make sure that I covered anything that you had questions about. Let me reshare my screen here. Okay. Of course, it's not working. All right. So can you all see the document?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't want to give anybody you know, motion sickness here, but I'm going to go through it pretty fast because a lot of it is the same. The district did come in and install some more water bottle filling stations. So as a reminder, of course, we're expecting about half of our kids back next week. So they will have more water bottle filling stations to keep them from drinking directly or having to use the water fountain for that. So we have for this week, and Kirsten, this was a last minute change. And honestly, again, I'm very transparent, is on Monday we were meeting. Somebody said, why don't we just use our URL bell schedule on the 6th through the 12th? Because it worked. It worked to support our kids that are online, and people seem to like it. So why not? So there it is again. That is our bell schedule from now through January 12th. A reminder again, kids come back on the 13th. Again, this is out there, posted, et cetera, et cetera. On the 13th, we go back to our normal face-to-face bell schedule. So that's that right there. And then one of the things that we found, and I do want to share this with you if I hadn't already, is when we did the week, if you recall, the week before we left for the holiday, the winter break, we extended 6 periods to give students a chance to clear incompletes. And the numbers we have are between 1,000 or 1,200 incompletes were cleared. So this was pretty successful. And again, to be transparent, people have been asking for this. So starting the 27th, we're going to do that every Wednesday. So we came up with the term Wednesday, which I found out is not popular, but you know, the alliteration is there. So that's basically, we're going to do what we did at the end of first semester, is extend 6th period just for Wednesdays. And those kids who have incompletes, those kids who need extra help, for our counselors and our teachers and our extra help support team like Dr. Zeidler and Miss Kirk, they'll know where the kid where the kid is. They can go find him. They can pull him out and say, hey, listen, you know, you owe this incomplete from biology. Let's get this done now. So our what's called our MTSS team, or our student support team, has been really hot on getting incompletes done, and they have a plan in place, and you know, looking forward to using some of this time to get that done as well. So that's going to start again on the 27th. And why the 27th? Well, basically because we wanted to get kids in the building, get schedule changes done, get the semester settled before we started doing this. So that's where we are on Bell's schedules. And please, you know, unmute yourself. I can't see the chat, but maybe, you know, somebody can follow it. But unmute yourself if you have any questions. The rest of this is just what I said about the rules for those extra help Wednesdays. Again, we're going to continue with when students get here in the morning, they go right to the cafeteria unless they have a pass from the teacher, and then at 7:50 the bell will ring and they'll go right to their first period. Those are just staff hours. Transition times, we've last semester we did the odd even dismissal by classroom number, alternating on weeks. We're going to continue that, see if we need it. I will say that we did not end up using the track for lunches. We were able to keep kids socially distanced last semester. That's still going to be an option. You know, with more kids in the building, we may need it. We'll see how it goes. Everything else is pretty much the same as it was for last semester. The weather is not great, but I want to thank the PTSA because we have just buku picnic tables out there that kids have been using when the weather's permitting, and we'll continue the ability for all students to do that. Dismissal is the same, cleaning of the rooms, classroom setup. This is all very much the same. Hallways, lockers rather, we're not going to do that. Other items, of course, we're encouraged by the district to use Teams as much as possible. There's very few, if any, live meetings going on. All kinds of other different things that we had talked about. Fine arts performances, athletic contests. You know, we ended up, for a lot of reasons, a lot of our concerts were recorded, so I hope you got a chance to see those because they were fantastic. So kudos to our fine arts students. But we'll continue to kind of play that by ear as the virus allows us to for fine arts and athletic performances. So grading, this is what the district has put out as far as recovery and incompletes. It's basically the same. So no real change there. Now, I will be transparent with you and say that the district has given local schools some more flexibility. How do we cover, for example, counting formative assessments, more grades in the grade book, those kind of things. And I will tell you that the leadership team met, my bullets are wrong there, and talked about this for a long period of time. And Lindsay is on our leadership team, as she's wearing two hats here. So if I misspeak, Lindsay, or say something that's not accurate, please jump in. But when considering the workload of our students, when considering everything that's going on in our community, our kids that are not in a great setting for whatever reason, also considering the factor that we could end up being shut down again. We could find out in a week or two or a month that, hey, you got to go full remote, that we decided to, as a leadership team, to stick with what we did last semester. Now, we're going to meet again tomorrow and just fine tune that if there's a need. But for the most part, PLC will have the discretion to assign 10, 11, or 12 summative assessments, and we're not going to count formative. So, you know, I know parents, a lot of parents said, well, my students didn't have the chance to do the formative, so that hurt that grade. But one of the feedback that we've heard from other schools and other teachers and parents is, well, the formatives hurt my kid's grade because our internet went out. We're not at home. They didn't get a chance to do it. So, you know, we're really trying to do, at the end of the day, what's best for our kids. And the conversation we had with a leadership team is, we went through this first semester. You know, it's not great. I don't think a lot of things right now are great, but it seemed to be something people understand. It seemed to be manageable for our kids and, for that matter, our staff. So we decided to, for the most part, stick with it for second semester. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to defer to Lindsay. If I misspoke or said something that needs to be added, or didn't say something that needs to be added, Lindsay, if you want to jump in, that would be That would be fine with me if you want to unmute, or did I pretty much
No,
cover it?
it sounds like you covered everything that we talked about, and I don't think anything was off base from our department chair meeting. So
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. And I'll also add that I'm doing a town hall on the 11th. So, I encourage you to ask questions or submit questions. Again, it's on the front page of the website, and I can talk more in detail about this. So let me finish this and I'll take any questions. We have asked our teachers to every 6 weeks to put their assessments in the grade book, so students and parents, know what's coming. That was one of the feedback we got, is that, when is this assessment number 10 going to be given, and when is that going to happen? So we've asked them at least every 6 weeks to put that in there. Teachers may choose to bundle formative assessments into one summative category. So for example, if you want to take 6 quizzes and call that a summative, a teacher has the ability to do that. We're going to stick with the no zero policy, and Ms. Trigg, I remember our conversation in governance very distinctly, and how frustrating it was for our parents that they couldn't tell how their kid was doing because we were putting incomplete. So the district allowed us to put ones. We're going to start doing that right from the beginning. So it's not a 0, and it will have to be changed to an incomplete at the end of the semester. But at least when a parent logs on without a bunch of clicks, they can tell how their student is doing. I already mentioned the bell schedule. One change is the academic honesty policy. So, one of the things we've been very cognizant of is we can't have different discipline rules for kids at home and kids at school. It's not fair, and it's not sustainable. So again, working with our department chairs, principals advisory weighed into this. Cheating has been a big deal. It's been a big issue. Again, I don't think it's unique to Roswell. I think teachers have really struggled with how to handle academic honesty. Not perfect, but what we've said is this: that if a student who's found in violation, we're not going to give them a 0, but we'll give them a 1. And of course, it will be in their student record. They will be allowed to complete the assignment, of course, in a way that's academically honest, and then the grade they earn will be averaged with the 1. So that's a way of, which we used to just give them 0s, right, under the old policy. So this is the way to kind of put some teeth in our academic honesty policy. And there's a fairness issue. It's not fair that kids at home could possibly be using a bunch of resources that kids in the classroom can't. So this is an attempt, as I said earlier, it may not be perfect, it may not be great, but this is an attempt to at least curb some of the academic dishonesty issues. And the rest of this is pretty much par for the course. So let me finish this and I'll take any questions, as I'm sure you may have some. So the end of course exam issue got pretty interesting here at the end of the semester. The State Board of Education had asked for a waiver from the U.S. Department of Education to not give end of course tests because those are required under federal law. The Department of Education at the federal level said no. So the Secretary of Education for Georgia proposed that we only apply 0.01% instead of the normal 20%. That went back and forth with the State Board of Education, and then right before the holidays, the State Board of Education agreed that EOCs would count as 0.01%. So for those classes where there is an end-of-course assessment, and for those of you veteran Hornet parents, there's a lot less than there used to be now. There's only American Lit, Algebra 1 Biology, or U.S. History. Those teachers will have an additional summative category that will be the EOC as 0.01. So their assessments, their 12 assessments will count 99.99999% of the grade, and that end of course test will count as 0.01. And there is also going to be an opt-out procedure for the end of course test. And students, as we already know, in certain AP exams, for example, AP US History, they don't have to take the EOC for US History. So more information will be coming out as we get all that finalized. And then the last part here, I think, and I'll emphasize this on my town hall, for students and staff, we've got to be ready to transition to a completely remote environment if COVID numbers dictate that. So, it's just a reminder to take things home every day, update your laptops and tablets, and, make sure that our extracurricular students are checking in with their coaches or their teachers. So again, this document is out there. I thought it was on the website, but it's not. That's my mistake. It will be when we end our meeting. So I covered a lot, and I just, any questions, please. This is a great time to ask. And Kirsten, again, the comment you made about making adjustments to the grading policy, in my mind, I kind of thought it was the same, but I really want to hear, and that's why you're in this group, right? I really want to hear what you had to say or what your concerns are. So I will shut up for a minute and see if there's any questions I can take.
I had 2 questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is the Wednesdays that are a reduced schedule to work on incompletes. Is that throughout the entire semester?
Yeah, it'll be starting January 27th through the semester. Now, you know, that we'll have to see how that goes. You know, to be honest, if it's not working and it's a hindrance or a bother, we'll change it. We're not opposed to doing that. And inevitably, after spring break, we end up changing some things because of AP testing and of course testing now. So, but right now, yes, ma'am, the plan is to keep that for the semester.
Okay, thank you. And this was really helpful because I think today we all just received a lot of information from our teachers, like going through everything. And I'm now realizing that there wasn't a huge change with the grading policy. But this is really helpful for knowing like all the criteria for the second semester. So Haley and I will definitely post this face-to-face plan on our Instagram.
Yeah, please do, and I'll get it on the website. And I know Lauren Grossman does a great job with the student side of some of that communication. So if you could share that with her, that'd be great, because I know she does that for student council. So that'd be awesome.
Oh, of course, yeah. We're gonna put it on the student council website as well.
Awesome. Love it. And then listen, you know, people can ask questions for sure if something's not clear.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Other questions?
The EOC, you said there's gonna be like an opt-out. Will that be like for kids who still aren't back to face or?
Yeah, I don't know. That was something I saw in an email, and there's still a lot of a conversation that has to go on with that. Miss Moore is our testing coordinator, and the EOC is, of course, under her administrative duties. So she'll let us know when that information comes out. I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of information about what that opt-out's going to look like. So I'm sorry.
I kind of figured that it's pretty far off, but
yeah,
Ginny and I are both biology teachers, so
oh, I know.
So it'll apply to us. Okay, well then, if you are done, I guess.
Okay. The last thing I'll say is just winter sports, and you know they have just been dealing with the COVID protocols. We've had some quarantines for some of our athletes, but wrestling senior night is tonight, and then I think we're doing boys basketball on Saturday. So I would say come out and support them, but tickets are so limited. But I'm really proud of our coaches and athletes for being safe and doing the right things and following the rules. And the best thing I think we can all say is at some point this has to end. And I do want to add two more things just publicly. One is, thanks to our staff, they're just doing amazing work. And even today, there's just working from home, trying to do what they're doing. They're doing a great job. So I really want to thank them for that. We have a lot of our community members who are healthcare workers, and they're working in doctors' offices and hospitals. And, thank you for your service as well. And continue to keep in your thoughts and prayers everybody in our community who's struggling with the virus, who have lost loved ones or lost jobs. Like I said, it will come to an end at some point. And we really came together first semester. We had bumps, we had things to work through. But, I expect no less for second semester, and we will persevere, that's for sure. So anyway, that's it for me, Laura, unless somebody's got some other questions.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will track and field, will that sport happen? So all sports are back?
Well, right now, spring sports is going as planned. Now, the great thing, and I'm so glad you asked that question, the thing with most spring sports, all spring sports, is they're outside. With winter sports, you're inside, and obviously wrestling is a whole different factors that you're dealing with. But yeah, we anticipate spring sports starting and going as normal. Again, we don't know about crowd size. We don't know about all that looks like, but the benefit to them being outside is they don't have the possible spread issues that you would have with the winter sports that are inside. So thank you, man. That's a great question, and I probably should have mentioned that, so I appreciate it.
Quick follow-up on that. Sure. You're welcome, sir. Quick follow-up. If your student is remote and not back face-to-face like everyone is, unless we aren't, then can your student participate in sports?
Oh yeah, absolutely, sure. Okay. Sports, extracurriculars, absolutely. Because what happens, and I think people know this, but I don't want to assume, is they're getting temperature checked pretty regularly. They're being everybody is, so when they come to practice, those things happen, and we track them, and if there's a need to contact trace, that is done. But yes, ma'am, that's certainly kids who are remote can come and participate in sports.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, I'm going to unshare my screen there, Ms. Hunter, if you want to take it back.
And Dr. Shaw, I actually had another question
Sure.
talking about COVID. Has there been any discussion about vaccination for teachers or staff?
Nothing from officially to principals. Now, I will tell you two things, and again, I'm pretty transparent, is I've seen in the news in the state of Georgia putting educators, in the second round, I guess. And I get Kennesaw State emails because up until last semester, I used to teach there part-time, and I know they're working on a plan to try and get some of their staff vaccinated. So my assumption is that there's some information coming, but nothing official that I've heard or been able to share.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering.
Yep.
Let me get the agenda back up. And so our next discussion item on here is to review that goal setting that we talked about in our last meeting and see if we can really start nailing down exactly how we're doing this. But it seems like we ended with the idea we wanted to focus on the academic side of things and the incompletes and this idea of a parent website portal type thing with more information. And I guess my question is kind of where are we going with this? And is there somebody who wants to kind of take the lead on this? Is this something that we would use funds for? Does anyone have thoughts as to how exactly to get this done, I guess is the question. And is it still where we want to go, or do we have some other ideas?
Ms. Hunter, please remind me what the goal is here.
Let me see if I can pull up that whiteboard. So again, this is not one of my favorite programs here. And see if I can share this.
This is district, the district is asking all governance councils to do this? Yeah, well, the goal setting process that we were using was a process that was presented by the district, and Hannah, feel free to pop in on this. But kind of where we went with it, I guess, is towards this kind of idea of supporting our goal to work to help with the incomplete idea via some kind of parent support website with like video tips or ways to support students. We also talked about communication with parents to help improve that. And the way that we could measure it would be the number of incompletes per semester. So this was what we came up with, I believe, in our last meeting in November. So I'll leave this up here for a minute if we want to look at it again. And so I guess the first question would be, are we still good with this goal of working to clear incompletes?
Yes, I think we have to be.
Okay. So then the next question is how are we going to support these goals? Is this still where we want to go with it as far as the parent support aspect? Do we still want it to be some kind of website access, or is there something else that we think we could do with it?
I still think the idea sounds good. I'm not exactly sure how to actually move forward with it, but I think that it's a good idea.
Okay. So, and I think we're somewhat limited. Dr. Shaw, do we really know? It seems like no one knows what the plan is as far as how to clear these incompletes. Is there anything that we could step in with there, or do we just not know?
I tell you, there is actually a plan that our MTSS committee, Ms. Ponder and Ms. Kirk and others have, thanks, Kirsten, Of course, now I have to find it. Hang on just a second. I'll tell you what, Ms. Hunter, if you want to keep going, I can probably share it on my screen if you give me a second.
Okay. Here, I'll unshare mine as well.
Laura, can I say something? I don't have a great answer to this, but after living it on both ends as a parent and a teacher, it's a nightmare on both ends. And I don't know that, I don't know if I have a good answer, but there has to be a way. We're exhausted on our teacher end because we feel like a broken record. I've said it 8,000 times. I don't know how more clear I could possibly be with what you need to do. And as a parent, I'm like, what do you need to do? And my kid is like, I don't know. And I'm like, I don't understand. So I feel like it's some kind of communication issue that obviously is stemming from the kids. And I'm not really sure exactly what the solution is, but I feel like that's the weak link. Is there the parent, it is high school. The kids should be able to do on their own. Their parents shouldn't have access and be doing it for them. But at the same time, the parents don't know what to do. They don't know how to help. They don't know so they're not sitting in those teams meetings. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this makes sense.
Not to interrupt you, Jenny, but the problem is it's different from class to class and kid to kid.
Exactly.
There's no, it's so you have a biology class of 30. If you've got 15 incompletes, there's 15 different reasons they have incompletes and 15 different things they have to do to get that incomplete to a passing grade. So yeah, that's and
if you have 2 or 3 kids at the school or in multiple schools and they have incompletes and you don't know because every teacher's doing it different, it's really just been hard on the parent end. So I'm exhausted on both ends because it feels like it's just and I don't know if there's a good solution. That's just my perspective from both ends of it. And I don't know if other parents are feeling the same way. I'm sure they are because I get the emails from them. They're like, we're just beside ourselves because we don't know what to do.
So on my end, from a parent's perspective, having helpful tips on a website, I'm not sure how that would be helpful. First of all, you have to know that the incompletes are there. And I'm happy that we're going from the I to the one, because if you're a parent that's paying attention, and I don't pay attention every day, you all are in high school now. So at some point I go and I look, and then I'll say, okay, what's going on? What are you doing? So it's from a parent's perspective, that's passive information. I have to go look for it to figure out that you have something going on. Now that you're changing that to a 1, I think it'll be maybe more evident. But other than that, I'd have to go through the assignments and scroll and look. And then, so it's, and everybody, and this is not judgment, but everybody isn't able to spend that time to go and look. I was certainly on their grades when they were in elementary school, much as I should have been, right? You're in high school now. So I don't look as often as I used to. So I'm usually behind the curve by the time I figure out that something's amiss.
I agree with you. I think it's really hard for parents to keep up, especially if there's multiple children and they're working and they're dealing with their own hardship with what's going on. So I don't know how we make it easier for the community as a whole in order to do the right thing by the school with clearing incompletes and getting kids where they need to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I agree that having the 1 in there instead of the I think will make a big difference because it changes that bottom line, which is really what anybody cares about, students or parents. And I have 2 kids in high school as well. And then I think also, and I remember Dr. Shaw said this once, that it needs to become more uncomfortable for the students to not do the work than to do the work. Like right now, they're choosing to not do the work because it's not really that uncomfortable. right? They don't even have to look the teacher in the eye in some cases. They just kind of bounce along. And hopefully now that the ones are in and they see that bottom line number, hopefully that'll make a difference. Because I know I've been teaching through Fulton Virtual a group from spring semester, and they're seniors now who are making up their 11th grade lit course for having an incomplete. And I started out with 36 students and ended up with 19 students because they dropped half of them for not even replying to my email, right? Not even doing one assignment. And then of those 19, only 2 got rid of their incomplete. And they're seniors, and they're from schools all over the county, not just here. So, eventually they're going to be up against a wall of graduating or not graduating. And it will be a lot easier on all of us if it's sooner and not later. But that's what I've seen.
I think the problem I'm having is where as a school governance, we have like that we can step in, and what exactly can we do to address clearing incompletes? Because I think we came up with that idea of some kind of website thing because it was something that we felt like we could do, but I'm not sure that there's been a whole lot of confidence that it would be something that parents would actually use. Yeah. So I feel like we've talked around this a lot, but I'm a little concerned that we need to kind of figure out what we could do with it. And I think maybe, is there a group of people or a couple of people who are willing to kind of address, spend a little bit more time with this to say, here is, exactly what the issues are, and here are 1 or 2 things that school governance can try and do. Because I'm a little lost as to what we can do with it. And Hannah, what do you?
I don't want to interrupt. So, Dr. Shaw, remind me your MTSS coordinator's name.
I don't know what that means. You mean who's in charge of it?
Yes.
It's Ms. Ponder, our assistant principal.
Oh, right. So maybe whoever is interested in kind of continuing to work on this goal, we meet with Ms. Ponders and kind of talk with her more in detail about what she's seeing, what she's doing on the school side, and then she might have a perspective of something that the SGC could do to engage and support the work she's leading within the school building during the day.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, are there any volunteers to try and kind of, we've had Ms. Ponder come in and kind of present what some of the issues are, but, we kind of already asked her what she felt school governance can do, and she didn't seem to, at that point, have a lot of ideas as well, if I'm not mistaken.
May I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Hannah, with your group of schools that you're working with, are any of them or any of your colleagues speaking about the same thing in high schools? And if so,
they're
what are they doing?
Speaking about incompletes, but I do not have any other high schools or some of the other high schools I'm thinking of their major goals for the year. They don't specifically target incompletes in their buildings. A lot of them are around engagement, getting kids to get online, even keeping families engaged in the process, community outreach, the most at-risk populations, providing those kinds of things. While the discussion of incompletes is every building in secondary, that isn't a specific project that I have seen in other buildings. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't tackle it.
So do they seem to be tackling it more from the engagement side of it, or?
It tends to be that is what people are leaning towards, is ways to engage the community, the parents, and the students in hopes that by increasing engagement, they then get to the incompletes.
Okay.
Have you seen other high schools putting on the table the idea of once a week tackling incompletes? I think that could turn out to be really good.
I love it. I actually wrote it down on my list of notes for today to kind of talk to my colleagues who serve high schools to just kind of see the other ways. And Dr. Shaw, you might have some suggestions too, just when you've been speaking with the other high school principals, ways that they are creative ways that they're tackling the incompletes as well. I just haven't heard.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different ideas out there, and some we've talked about administratively. There's tying it to parking. There's tying it to extracurriculars, not athletics or fine arts, but maybe clubs. You know, a lot of it is the stick approach. You know, instead of the carrot. But our carrot was, hey, listen, if you've got this done, you can leave. Which I think a lot of kids took advantage of, and it was funny because, you know, again, I don't know how many in. We said between 1,000 and 1,200. That's incomplete. I don't know how many actual students that were, but you know, it was funny on those days. You'd see a kid in the hallway and like, where are you going? Well, I just finished one and I got to go see my other teacher and get this done. So that was kind of cool. You know, we still have a lot remaining though, and I think Val talked about that. So, you know, we just have to figure out some other ideas. But it's something all the you know, all the schools are struggling with it. You know, how do we can't give them a zero. We can't, you know, basically hold them accountable, bad word, but we can't give them a zero. So they've got this incomplete that I think Val's point was it doesn't really have that oomph. So that's why at least we're changing it to ones to get more parent involvement, to Ms. Trigg's point.
That's exactly what they are all experiencing and sharing.
Yeah.
My hope is the one is that kind of red light for some parents that before it might have just kind of blended in.
It did.
But it is very hard, and it's certainly not only to Roswell. in no way.
So yes, we're circling back around again. I guess the website thing, are we still thinking that, or no, would be my question.
Honestly, I think it would be one more thing for parents to look at. And also, for what it's worth, I don't think we're going to be able to fix the incompletes until we have kids all back in the building, like in the fall. I don't think that for the kids that I see and I have, and they're freshmen and, you know, disadvantaged and special ed, like they don't have the wherewithal to get it done on their own. And now that they're behind, they really don't. Like, the best we can do is have them not be incomplete this semester. But it's going to take, I mean, I think it's going to take, honestly, at some point before they graduate, like a zero period or a required study. Like, it's going to take big guns.
I agree with you, Val. Maybe the you know, maybe the initiative should be more on like what we can do with the scheduling next year to allow for time for some of these kids when they're actually in the building. It is really, you're absolutely right. It's really hard to get them to engage when they're not in the building. Yeah. And even the really great kids, you know, really struggle. So maybe it's more about building a schedule that allows, I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but allows for those kids to not have to be punished to stay extra time or, you know, extra.
It has to be more uncomfortable.
Right. Well, you shouldn't punish
be more uncomfortable than doing the work.
Right. Agreed. So. I'm with you, Val.
Val for president.
I thought we were for the football team, not president.
I don't know. I get a lot of offers.
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't help us with our goal, though. So Laura's like,
yeah, I'm still kind of stuck as to where we are right now. But I agree. Like, I think this problem, we have some things that the administration's worked on that I think will help a lot with the incompletes. As far as like what we can do, you know, maybe there's some requests for flexibility for things for next year that we could start looking into to help clear them. I don't know how much good that'll be for our seniors, but like, I know most of my incompletes were from kids who were virtual, and it's just, I can't sit down with them and force them to do something. They didn't have that stick of, or carrot, you can leave. They were already home. Like, it didn't matter to them as far as clearing incompletes.
Okay, I have a thought. It just came in my head, so I'm going to say it. And no one shoot the messenger or throw a shoe at me. But I'm hearing carrot and stick. And I know, well, I don't even know if money can be used this way. So I'm making this up as I go along.
Dr. Shaw's like, no, it can't.
I don't know. I mean, we're trying to spend money in SGC, right?
It just got interesting though. So
well, and it may spark something else when I talk about this. Is it possible for SGC to buy gift cards? I know so wrong. You get a $5 gift card for every incomplete. I don't know. Or there's a drawing, there's a raffle for, I don't know. Maybe it's too much.
There aren't a whole lot of guidelines with the SGC dollars, but one of them is about money spent on like food and then gift cards. Those are like the two things. But something you did hit, Ms. Trigg, is maybe we need to be reconsidering how we provide support. Like maybe one of the ways we can support is with our charter dollars. So what if there was some way that we could leverage the charter dollars that you have still with that idea of, I don't know if it's a 0 period or something targeted to the virtual students, where teachers are paid for this like very targeted extra time that gets them, it's not necessarily a stick or it gets them online and forces them to complete whatever assignment or remediate whatever skill, or it's like getting them on there, but we provide the financial ability for the teachers to have that extra time to do that.
Like even if it were office hours at night, right? And there was a teacher that was available at night from 7 to 10 or whatever, because there are students that are maybe helping their little brother or sister do their schoolwork during the day, or they're out working with their dad, or they're not out of bed, for example.
Yes.
So
right.
Val,
But then at 8 o'clock at night, I get texts, or not texts, but however they team chat things, where they're asking me a question at 10:30. And
I get them for 3 in the morning.
Yeah, same. And I don't care, because I know they're just sending it when they think of it, and I'll get it when I get it, and I happen to get it then. But if that's what we're looking to do, if they had, this is the person you contact, I don't know, they still might not contact that person, but it's a thought.
Well, let me jump in real quick. And by the way, Ms. Hartigan, I'm impressed that you went to the eye doctor and you're back all during this meeting. So but very quick.
Yep.
I have a pretty much a hard stop at like 5:10 because we have senior night for wrestling, so I don't want to miss that. But the way the money payroll wise would work is this, because we use a couple different phrases. Ms. Zay said 0 period, so that's implied that it's during your contract hours. So, but what you're talking about, Val, is if you did it off your contract hours, it's as simple as keeping a timesheet, like we do for, like when Lindsay, when we did your tutoring, or when we do gate working, if you really did spend 9 to 10 at night, you put it on your timesheet, we put it in, and we can use governance council money for that. Is that correct, Hannah? So that
sounds great.
That's something to write up and at least think through the details, because that's where the devil always is. And then again, it's another opportunity for our kids. I love the idea, to be honest with you. I think it's doable.
Yay.
Or even Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. It's working towards your goal, but it's not necessarily creating another website or another thing. And the logistics of making it happen is the goal. It's another way that you're supporting the school's goal of getting those incompletes swiped.
And it still puts it back on the kid.
Yes.
Essentially, not on the parents, but it's meeting them where they are, which is what they need. So.
Is this something you would see individual teachers doing and then just like submitting a request, or something just by department? Each department sets up some of these times and has them available, or?
I have to think through that. The way it was proposed, and I think you just mentioned, Ms. Hunter, Saturday or Sunday, and we have kids that's when they need some help. In my mind, I think, okay, you turn in a timesheet saying last week on Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, I worked from 2 to 4. The going rate is $26 an hour, so you do the math. Now it creates a heck of a lot of work for Susan Murphy and Miss Munker in the bookkeeping office, but that's fine. They'll do it. So that's kind of where I thought we were going. So the other thing, the other problem with incompletes that Ms. Hardigan mentioned is it kind of has to be that teacher, right? So, if Laura, it's kind of hard for you to work with one of Kathy Washington's students or an on-level biology student because you don't know that kid, you don't know what they did. So it really has to be that teacher, which kind of limits it to doing something by department. And so.
Right. And they'd have to have access to, seeing what they did have for incompletes, because a kid could reach out and say, I don't know even what I have. So there's a lot of different pieces.
Right, you need to see the grade book. That's correct.
And not every teacher is going to want to do it. So we need to give access to all kids to somebody, right?
Yes.
That they could reach out to.
Or if it's like
Or
one
you
person
target
per
some
PLC,
specific
because
Right.
Right, a
is what I
certain
was thinking.
PLC, a certain EOC courses, like,
Yeah.
So there might be something to this where we need to continue the conversation. And Ms. Ponders might need to be part of it too. She might have a good perspective of how we might narrow the scope and still make it equitable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the problem we have is that our next meeting isn't until February 24th. So the question is, do we want to, I guess, have an earlier meeting or have a couple of people maybe take this and go? Because I think it's something that would need to be implemented pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Within the first 6 weeks of school.
Is there do we have one or two people who are kind of interested that would be able to do like a subcommittee, and I'll join you to work with Ms. Ponders to kind of get it going, just so that we don't lose the time that these teachers could be working to swipe these incompletes if we move forward. It's like something where we could come back and propose to you a plan.
I'll work with you. I'm the budget and finance chair.
That would be beautiful, since we might be spending charter dollars.
Love spending money.
Ms. Trigg, anyone else?
I will.
Val, okay.
Who will?
You would be a
Val.
perfect person.
Oh, my babies.
So this will be our incomplete subcommittee, I guess. Okay. Then that gives us a place to move forward and some good ideas. So I think this would be much more helpful. And it kind of addresses two issues, because the other thing we were going to talk about was the funding and the idea that we only really got one request.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of discussing with the finance committee, do we want to expand that, move it beyond that? But if we have other ideas for that money, then I would say let's just end it with the one request we have, and kind of once we have an idea as to maybe how much money would be available for this idea, then maybe go back and decide about the funding for the other idea as well. So if those two subcommittees will meet within the next few weeks, then
Oh.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
You're fine.
When they turn into teenagers.
You said I didn't know where you were.
Oh.
Sorry for the distraction.
Yeah, we're fine. A good distraction. So once we have more from those two subcommittees, then I think we'll have a better idea as to where to go forward. But I think we seem a lot more excited about this idea than the other idea.
Yeah.
So
Ms.
we
Hunter,
will.
I'm sorry. What's the
Oh, go
second
ahead, I'm sorry.
subcommittee? I still missed that. I was supposed to be taking notes and I got lost in the conversation. The second subcommittee?
The finance committee, because we've talked about meeting as well to kind of decide where we want to go with that.
Okay.
Your meeting, Darlene.
Yeah, you got both of them. You can decide when to do both.
All good. Thank you.
So that was our discussion item. Moving on to, budget and finance committee update. We kind of already did that. So the outreach and communications committee, do we have any, it looks like Meredith is not here. I'm not sure there's a whole lot going on with that. They
Mm-mm.
probably do need to meet soon to talk about upcoming elections and maybe how to get the word out about that. But beyond that, I don't think there's much of an update.
Yeah, I'll have a whole bunch of stuff for them coming at the end of January. So probably in the February meeting, they'll have a lot more to share with you.
Okay. Good. Well then, so the next agenda, we will come back to both of these ideas and touch base with both committees. Is there anything else specifically we need to add to the agenda for February's meeting?
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely be speaking about elections because that's where it starts ramping up. So we'll look at your members that are rolling off, and then we'll start talking about how we're going to engage and who we might want to target.
So the election and then committee updates.
Mm-hmm. And you will have a budget training that is rolling out at the end of the month also. So you may want to have a check-in about who's completed it and anyone who has questions before you start approving your budget and all of that piece. Like Dr. Shaw began the meeting with that February 8th and then approving it by March 12th.
Okay.
Hannah, can you share when the training becomes available? Do you know that in advance?
It's coming out. It is going to be one of those guided, self-guided, like the beginning was this year. And I believe it is coming out attached to our newsletter on January 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well then, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting. That's my part, right?
Good job, Dylan.
Thanks,
I've been
Dylan.
here the whole time, guys. I've been here.
Second?
I'll second it.
Here we go. Then vote to adjourn the meeting. Anyone against? Okay. Well then, that was passed, and we are done for the month, I guess.
All right. Thanks,
So it's
everybody.
good to
Happy
see all
New
of
Year.
you.
Bye,
the
thank
other one.
Now we have to
you.
all watch the news, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Figure out
Bye.
what's going
The other one was jealous. Bye, guys.
on.
Aw.
Bye.
Bye, guys.